Well, one of the earliest memories I have of Spike would be the winter of 47. I would have been approximately 3 years of age, and it was the coldest winter in Ireland for many, many years. And the thing that sticks out in my mind is my mother taking me to the window and we looking at Cobh, and these little lights would come on very slowly in the evening, and she told me they were fairy lights. In actual fact, they were the gas lights coming on in Cobh, because Cobh at that stage had their own gas making facility. But that was one of the earliest memories I would have had on Spike, would be the fairy lights in Cobh. We had what was known as a ration boat, and the ration boat would every Thursday would leave Haulbowline with so many sailors, come over to Spike, pick up soldiers, and they'd go to Cork, and the rations for the soldiers and sailors would come down the river from Cork, and they were deposited in Haulbowline and Spike. But for the residents on the island, your mother would make out her list for the week, and that was brought up to the barracks. There was an NCO there who made up all the list in bulk, and that was sent on to Cork, and they'd have it ready for when the ration boat came up. But when it came back in bulk, then it was divided up. The NCO in charge of rations would make up your box. Swedes now they were in tin cans. They were always boiled sweets like bullseyes, gobstoppers, and different kind of boiled sweets like that. But they'd come in bulk, and we used to get them 3 or 4 times a year from the school teacher. And usually the older boys or girls would go out to Cobh, and the man who had them in bulk was a man called Packy Manny, and you'd get your box of boils, the tin of boiled sweets, and the school teacher would, as a treat, would make a cone with newspaper, pop a fistful of them in, and it was usually like Paddy's Day, Easter, Christmas, and the break up of holidays. They were roughly the times we'd get sweets. As children, my mother would go down to the Strand, and we'd have small little tin cans, and they would we'd fill them with cinders. And like you might ask, what is cinders? Cinders were the remnants of the steam coal from the ships that were passing up and down the harbour. These cinders plus the turf gave us a very, very nice fire. And in actual fact, our ranges, as they were called, they were metal stoves, the top of them would literally get blood red, because they would have had the use, they'd have the turf plus the cinders, and it was a great combination. The leaving of Spike, my parents planned it for about a year, because my mother took a job in Cork to get the deposit for a house. My father then had to apply for his discharge, and he was allowed he got 3 months discharge leave, and it was basically on a need to know. You were told at the last minute that you were leaving, but the day we were leaving, he actually was working in Irish Steel, and my uncle and myself and 2 soldiers loaded the stuff onto the boat and got to Cobh. But when I got to Cobh, I hated the place with a passion. I was leaving my island and my paradise, my little paradise, which it was a wonderful place to grow up in, and here was I leaving, and I didn't know the people in Cobh, I had no friends in Cobh, and roughly for the first 3 months I didn't come out of my house in Cobh.